Hi, I'm David Butler.
And I'm Emily Freeman.
And welcome back. This is day 3 of our week-long Easter celebration.
This whole week, we are going to be looking at Easter through the eyes of those who were there. So today, we are going to be looking at the Easter story through the eyes of Joseph and Nicodemus. Before we start talking about the story of Joseph and Nicodemus, it helps to remember exactly where we are in the story, that Jesus now has died, he's been crucified, and it is just before the sun goes down.
And when the sun goes down, it begins the Jewish Sabbath. So a man, this is in John chapter 19, starting in verse 38, a man whose name is Joseph of Arimathea, who at some time had become a disciple of Jesus, went to Pilate and besought him and says, or begs him to take the body. He asks him for permission to have the body of Jesus, afraid what somebody else is going to do with it.
Right after Joseph gets the body, we read about Nicodemus in verse 39, and there came also Nicodemus, which at the first came to Jesus by night. And what we love about these two verses back to back is it tells us first, Joseph of Arimathea being a disciple of Jesus, but secretly. And also, we read about Nicodemus, and this is the same Nicodemus we studied in John chapter 3 that came at night. And what we love about this is we don't know when these men started believing. We don't know. But these two verses tell us they did. And we love that about this chapter in John.
And we love the way that they show their belief and they show their devotion and their love for Jesus. So not only does Joseph go and ask for his body because he wants to be the one to give him a proper burial, but in this chapter you start learning the different things that they do to show that type of love and sacrifice and devotion to him.
Yep, in 39 we find that Nicodemus came and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100-pound weight, which would have been a lot for a burial, and in essence, it was almost everything he could give.
Right, and you find out that they bring the fine linens and the spices, and they bury him with such tenderness and gentleness. And then we find out in 41 that he's taken to a sepulcher or a tomb that's in a garden that no body had ever been laid in before. And a lot of people believe that this is actually Joseph of Arimathea's own personal or family tomb. And he is giving it over to the Savior as a place of burial, an act of great reverence and love for the Savior.
We love thinking about this preparation process of these two men in that sacred hour just before sun went down. And you had an awesome experience with some youth in your ward.
There's, in our stake, there was this teacher's quorum president, and he gathered his whole quorum together, and he told them all that every time I prepare the sacrament, I feel like Joseph and Nicodemus preparing the body of Jesus for burial, and invited all the boys in that teacher's quorum to think about that as they got the emblems of the sacrament ready each Sunday morning.
What we love about this story is they were prompted because of the sacrifice of Jesus to sacrifice something in return. And not only did they sacrifice, but they actually brought their finest in representation of what that sacrifice would look like. And we want you to think about what might that look like in your life as you ponder your gratitude for the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. How might that enable you to want to bring your finest, to sacrifice something?
And it seems like the sacrament is such an awesome time during the week to be able to do that, because you are remembering and you're looking at symbols of Jesus's great sacrifice for you. Joseph and Nicodemus bring their finest because that is what God gave first, a sacrifice of his son, his very finest for them.
And just the thought of that, how could you bring your finest?
So here is our invitation for day number 3. Joseph and Nicodemus brought gifts of sacrifice because of the sacrifice of Jesus Christ for them.
Is there a way that you could do that in your life? We want to tell you a little bit about the tradition. This is one of my favorite traditions that we do. What you're going to need is a piece of paper and a plastic Easter egg. And on this paper, would you just take a minute to write down what the sacrifice of Jesus Christ means for you? And as you ponder that sacrifice, maybe at the very bottom you can write a note to yourself, just a reminder, because of this sacrifice, I will bring my finest to the work I do for him every time I am on an errand for the Lord. Once you are done writing about your gratitude for his sacrifice, we just want you to fold this up, and then you're gonna take a plastic Easter egg and you just wanna stick it right inside that Easter egg. And then we're gonna take all of these eggs and we're actually gonna hang them on those branches from the very first day, from day one. And those branches are gonna turn into what we like to call a testimony tree. It becomes a tree that represents your witness, your gratitude, your awe for the sacrifice of Jesus Christ and how that is going to impact your life going forward.
And we hope that every day as you pass by that tree, you'll look at those eggs, and not only the moment that you're writing it and pondering it, but you'll remember his sacrifice and your commitment to bring your finest every time you pass it by in your house. So that's it for day number 3, our lesson from Joseph and Nicodemus. We hope to see you back tomorrow on day number 4, where we will be looking at the lesson from Mary Magdalene. See you then.